You wanna start keeping African cichlids at home, but it all seems so complicated, intimidating, or maybe you just don't know where to begin and need some solid guidance? How do I know? Well, you are here, aren't you? But don't worry, you are in the right hands. Let me walk you through the complete Malawi cichlid starter kit. All the info you'll need to get started with these beautiful, colorful little cycles. And today, we are zooming in on one group in particular, Mbuna Cichlids. Let's dive in. Welcome back, ladies and gents. I get it. These days, it's crazy hard to find one solid answer about African cichlids online without falling straight into a war zone of opinions. That's why I'm here, to give you all the key info in one simple guide. So stick around. Now, what should be your first step when planning a Malawi cichlid tank? Most people make the same classic mistake. They get a random tank from a store, then start googling what they can put inside it. And then they hit forums with questions like, I got 150-liter tank, what African cichlids can I keep? Or, is 200 liters enough for Mbuna? And boom, the hate begins. People get roasted, flamed, grilled, fried, all of it. But hey, it's not always just trolling, it's about defending the fish, right? So here's my take. Start with finding a good spot at home, and then get the biggest tank your space and your budget allows. Trust me, future you will thank present you, because when it comes to African cichlids, size really does matter. Honestly, if all you can manage is under 200 liters, I wouldn't recommend starting with Mbunas. There are exceptions, like my retirement house setup. But generally, Mbuna are aggressive, territorial, active fish. They need room. And if you go asking around with too small tank, yeah, the internet community might fry you alive. So what's the realistic minimum? I'd say at least 120 centimeters in length. That gives you a green light for the species of Mbuna. Also keep in mind, Mbuna don't care that much about height. They are all about bottom surface area. Rocks, caves, territory. So if you can go wider rather than taller, that's perfect. Just remember, the bigger the tank, the easier it gets. More space equals more stability, more swimming room, and less aggression explosions. Ideally, you should always plan your fish before you buy the tank. I know, easier said than done, right? Not everyone has unlimited space or a bottomless wallet. But one golden rule of African cichlids: always build the tank around the fish, never the other way around. So you've got your tank now, great. Let's talk about the crew. In the world of African cichlids, there are quite a few directions you can go. Mbuna, Peacocks, Hubs, Victorians, Tanganyikans, maybe even some hybrid mixes of all male show tanks. But hey, you clicked on this video, so today we are going all in on Mbunas. Now, here's the thing. Mbunas are actually the smallest cichlids in Lake Malawi. But don't let that fool you. They're also some of the most territorial and aggressive fish in the lake, tiny cycles with fins. That's why your species choices are crucial to having a peaceful-ish and healthy Mbuna tank. The good news, you don't need the biggest tank in the world to enjoy these fish. You just need knowledge and a good plan. When it comes to building your final crew of Mbuna, I'll be dropping a dedicated full guide just on that topic. So if you want help with fish combos, aggression balancing and stocking tips, make sure you are subscribed, agents. But for now, let's just say you've decided Mbuna are your thing. Let's keep moving. Why is picking your fish before building the tank so important? Well, now we are about to find out. Let's talk aquascaping, or as I like to call it, turning your tank into Lake Malawi, Mbuna edition. In the wild, Mbunas are all about rocks and sand. They live among rocky outcrops, darting through crevices, establishing territories and sifting sand to clean their gills. Sounds peaceful, right? Until they start chasing each other. Now, go ahead and Google Lake Malawi bottom. Yep, pretty boring. Just rocks and sand everywhere. But that's exactly what our Mbunas want and need. So if you want to keep aggression down and behavior natural, you gotta replicate that environment. So here's the basic formula for a Mbuna tank setup. Sand on the bottom and rocks. A lot of rocks. In fact, way more than you think. This here is my old Warzone tank. My first Mbuna setup. At the time I thought it had a decent amount of stone. Spoiler, it wasn't even close. Mbunas need caves, gaps, hiding spots. They divide space like little landlords. The more cover, the less direct aggression. The more peaceful the tank. Here are some quick tips. Use rocks you like. Just make sure they are not razor sharp. If you are taking rocks from outside, not from a fish store, boil them first to avoid parasites or contaminants. Fake rocks? Good idea too, especially to avoid cracked glass. As for sand, keep it natural looking. Avoid sharp or ultra-fine dust-grade sand that clouds the water or hurts gills. Now, a critical detail. Mbunas dig a lot, like excavation mode, so always protect your glass bottom. I recommend putting some kind of pad or protective base layer, then carefully stack your rock directly on it. Only after that, add your sand. Why? Because if a Mbuna digs under the big stone and it shifts, you might end up with a cracked tank, a living room full of water. Hashtag African Keeper Nightmare. And what about plants? Let me save you time and money. Don't. Mbunas are herbivores. They'll eat almost anything green. Fried anubias, eaten. Cryptocorin, eaten. Fast-growing grass, chomp down. Unless you want floating salad, skip the plants. Let's keep it rocky, agents. Alright, agents, let's talk filtration. You're gonna keep a bunch of Mbunas. So that means a lot of food, which also means a lot of poop. That's why you need not just good filtration, but over-filtration. Yeah, go overboard. Tip: get the biggest filter you can afford for your tank, or even run 2 filters if you want crystal clear water. That doesn't mean spending your life savings. There are plenty of affordable, powerful filters out there. Filter types: canister filters, great for smaller to medium setups. Or go some, more advanced, more potential, but we'll talk about that another time. I'm still learning myself. The goal here is a strong mechanical filtration, catch all the floating junk, and stable biological filtration, using ceramic rings, bioballs, or even crushed coral to help stabilize your pH. Some people even add wave makers to help move water around and prevent dead zones. And trust me, these little diggers need flow. Mbunas are active, messy herbivores. It takes more spinach to feed a vegetarian than steak to feed a carnivore. Same idea here. Water parameters for Mbuna Cichlids. pH should be around 7.8 to 8.6, so pretty high. Carbon hardness 6 to 8, max 12, so high too. Temperature 24 to 27 Celsius. But here's what matters more than numbers: stability. Fish don't like parameter swings, ever. No crazy water changes, no wild pH drops, just keep it consistent. Use a good heater with a built-in thermostat to maintain that sweet spot for temperature. Bonus, get a thermometer that you can clearly see, so you know what's going on at one glance. Let's put it this way, you don't want a Mbuna tank that smells like swamp and crashes from an ammonia spike. So invest in filtration. It's the life support of the tank. Let's talk feeding Mbunas. I actually made a full video all about their diet, so if you want the complete feeding guide, check it out on my channel. But here's the quick version. Feed twice a day in small, manageable portions. No overfeeding. They'll beg for more, sure, but don't fall for it. These guys are just actors. Mbunas are herbivores, so give them a plant-based diet. Look for spirulina-based flakes or pellets. Add some fresh veggies like zucchini, peas, or spinach, just depending on species. Bonus tip: fasting them once a week can help prevent bloat, a common issue in overfed Mbunas. Whatever you do, don't feed them high-protein or meaty foods like bloodworms. That's a shortcut to a digestive system's problem and even death. And yeah, Mbunas will always put on the show at feeding time. They'll dance, splash, chase, whether it's morning or midnight, straight up entertainers. Link to my feeding video is in the description or cards above. Don't miss it if you are serious about their health. Okay, so you got your tank all set up, but you still have no clue what species to actually keep? There's two main ways to go. First option, all males. Now, with Mbunas, this is the less popular choice, because let's be real, the females are just as pretty as the males. But hey, if you don't care about breeding or seeing natural behaviors in the tank, it might be worth considering. All male tanks usually come with a slightly less aggression, but you still need to pick the right species, ideally one male from each type. Thing is, it's kinda expensive. Me personally, I like buying young fish and growing them myself. There's just something about watching them transform, you know. Second option, and definitely the most common one, is the harem setup. That means one male and 3 to 4 females per species. So if you wanna keep a larger group of one kind, go for like 3 males and 10 females. Then you got yourself a solid little Malawi village in your tank. The cool thing here, you'll get to watch some real natural behavior and maybe even some fry if you're alive. But here's the thing, when you get young fish, there's no way to sex them properly until they grow a bit. So the key is to buy more fish than you'll actually keep, then later do your selection. And if you don't do that, well, you might get lucky, or you might end up with your own little warzone tank, where every inch of space is a battlefield. Been there, not fun. To help manage aggression, overstocking a bit actually helps, especially with Mbunas. Sometimes you'll have a male chasing around someone, but all of a sudden, 5 more fish swim into the same spot and he's like, wait, who was I chasing again? Yeah, they're that dumb. So let's talk about beginner-friendly Mbuna species I personally recommend. Great for starters: Pseudotropheus saulosi, Labidochromis caruleus, the classic yellow labs, Lodotropheus sprengeri, aka rusty cichlids, Pseudotropheus ACI, Indongo sokolofi, Cynotilapia afra ara. All pretty chill, colorful, and they mix well with others. And then the ones I'd avoid if you are just getting started. Pseudotropheus crabro, the meanest, most beautiful little psycho. Melanochromis auratus, literal tank killers. Melanochromis mangano, same vibe, mean and moody. Mailandia estere red, beautiful but can dominate everything. Kingongo demasoni, small, evil, and need huge groups not to go nuts. Now, obviously with African cichlids, you never really know what you're gonna get. Even the peaceful ones can snap. Like my Saulosi, everyone always says they're great. Mine, absolute nightmares. But hey, I had 4 males at once, so I guess I brought that on myself. Learn from my mistakes, not your own, agents. Alrighty, agents, now let's talk about the most common mistakes I see with new Mbuna keepers. And trust me, I've made a few of these myself, so listen close and let me save you some headache. 1. Getting fish that are way too big for your tank. This happens so often. You walk into the fish store, see a stunning cichlid, bright colors, cool shape, and boom, bring it home. Only to realize later it grows to 8 inches and turn your tank into the battlefield. Do your research. Even pretty fish can be total nightmares in the wrong setup. Second, mixing Mbunas with peacocks and habs. I know it's tempting, trust me, I've been there. But the truth is, different diets, different temperaments, and way too much chaos. Unless you're experienced and you know what you're doing, don't mix them, at least not at the start. 3. Starting with too small tank. Look, I get it, tanks are expensive, space is limited. But if you are serious about keeping African cichlids, do your fish a favorite and get the biggest tank you can afford and fit. It will save you stress, arguments on forums, and possibly a tank wipeout. 4. Feeding the wrong food. Mbunas are herbivores, not mini sharks. Too much animal protein and bloat. And bloat can be deadly. Stick to a plant-based diet. Spirulina, veggie flakes, some fresh greens. Your fish will thrive, and thank you. 5. Overstocking without proper filtration. Yeah, I said earlier that overstocking helps with aggression. But there's a limit. Don't turn your tank into fish soup. Make sure your filtration can handle the bioload, otherwise your water will turn to swamp real fast. Mixing aggressive species with peaceful ones. Big one right here. You throw a crab roe with yellow labs and wonder why there's chaos. Always match aggression levels. It's not just about looks, it's how these fish behave. And the last but not least, not doing regular water changes. Huge mistake. No plants, lots of fish, and a whole lot of poop equals dirty water fast. You need to be doing big weekly water changes. I'm talking 20% to even 50% depending on your setup. Trust me, this is non-negotiable if you want healthy fish and clean water. Alright agents, that's a wrap for today. You can go set up your first successful Mbuna tank now. In case you have any questions, drop them in the comments, I always happy to help. Subscribe if you haven't already, and stay submerged. Underwater depth,